Tonight, this is Pastor Ricky Rush, and we are live at the Inspiring Body of Christ Church for another Decide to Try podcast. This is day number 54 of 90 days that we've decided to start making it a habit by being consistent in our giving, consistent in our praying, consistent in seeking God for the things we want. 90 days ago, or 54 days ago, this was just a piece of thorn woods, like a bunch of thorns. And we just decided 54 days ago that for the next 90 days, we're going to start to water. And so for 54 days now, every day we've been watering. And this has now gone from being thorns to being bushes. And what we have learned is that if you stay consistent with giving, then eventually, as the Word of God teaches us, you're going to have a harvest. But we have to stay consistent. That means also when we come to church tonight and wherever you are, you have an opportunity to give during this podcast, during this service tonight. We invite you to be with us tomorrow night. Reverend Michael Thompson will bring us the message. And on Wednesday night, I'll be back to bring another message. This is Tithing Our Time, so the next 3 days. Now, because we're starting to water, we're expecting something to grow. Tonight, we have learned that if you would just sow seeds and consider yourself the seed sower and continue to water those seeds, something's going to come from it. We are smack in the middle of talking about surviving a season that you did not see coming. Some time ago, God laid on the heart and the mind of a sister by the name of Katrina Johnson, who had a brother. Her brother, who has a brother. Her brother, this part I'm going to make for the narrative. Her brother was a typical brother that she loved and cared for. And one day, all of a sudden, her brother started to, these are my words, disturb the peace of the home. And in doing so, that created a crisis. And so as Katrina started to raise her brother and take care of her brother and nurture her brother, he started having these outbreaks. And these outbreaks would have him, have her to have to call the police. And when the police would come, they would take care of him and sometimes have to even take him away. Now, after taking him away, what would happen is he would stay there for a couple of days and then he would settle back down and be right back at home. What happens when he gets back home? He would have another, these are my words, episode. After having another episode, the police would be called right back out. What we have learned, and I won't, before I introduce my panelists, I'm going to have Judge Jones later to talk about, Judge Julia to talk about what happens is there's a pattern that goes along with it, and I'm not going to try to put the words to it. I'm going to let you talk to us about that. And I say that because everyone in here may know of someone who has a son, a daughter, who's not just being a bad person. Now we have been educated enough to know that they may be going through some mental development issues. And these issues are extremely important, and that inspired God to have Katrina to start working with how can we address these issues that may come up in our children, come up in our brothers and sisters. Watch this, may even come up in our parents. The issue is sometimes we don't have a place to discuss this. I'm going to say these words, and I don't mean to be insulting, but I want to hit a nerve. Sometimes we classify them as just crazy, out of their mind, losing it, trying to cause problems. But what if you were to grow up one day and realize that you were a deaf person and everybody that was moving their hands were just moving their hands, but no one took the time to realize that you were deaf and you were never reading their hands. You were trying to read their lips because no one would identify that you had some kind of a disability or a different ability to communicate and you were deaf. Wouldn't it be a light on if someone were to stop, take the time to educate us and teach us that there is a different world that sometimes we have to live in where others are forced to try to house emotions, feelings, and concerns, but no one took the time to understand that development. This is a very, very different subject. And if you're listening tonight, I want you to get on the phone or get on something, or get on your social media and tell some friends, listen, you might need to tune into IBOC right now, because Pastor Rush with the Decide to Try podcast is about to open some doors thanks to the help of some very wonderful individuals. And we're going to go into the mind, the heart, and the emotions brought to us by the African American Leadership Institute, in which Brother West himself is executive director. Here with us tonight, we have distinguished guests. We have Tina Yu in the house tonight, because Tina has been around here for a long, long time. She's the Justice of the Peace, 5th District Court of Appeals, and she's been a long-time IBOC supporter. And we just have a lot of wonderful people. So all of that was to give you an introduction, to get yourselves ready, to get things lined up, to get some people all online. So that's all been intentional. But I'm going to jump right into it and introduce our panelists tonight. They're going to be talking, and when they start talking, I've already given them instructions. We're not going to raise our hand and wait on the next person. We're just going to start a conversation. We're going to let you jump into this conversation. Why is it important? Because they have decided to try. We've been talking about not allowing our feelings to cancel our future. But what if we learn about our feelings and our emotions so someone can be promised a better future? They know their stuff. They are sincere about what they're talking about. And we're going to just tune in for a second, and I'm going to let them kind of introduce themselves by doing a specific type of a mic check. And to my far left, we have Judge Julia Hayes. Sister Hayes, how are you tonight?
I'm great. How are you?
Great. Good job. And to my far right, we have Dr. Davis from the Dallas Independent School District Student Engagement and Support Team.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
All right. And to my direct left, we have Tiffany Baker, who is a criminal attorney here in our city, and she's sitting here with that wonderful smile on her face.
Good evening, everybody.
Okay, so here we go. Let's jump right in here. This is an uncomfortable conversation to have, because you don't want to say the wrong words. You don't want to insult anyone. But we've got to have a conversation that I think, well, because this is a church, I can say this, right? The church sometimes has closed its doors to some things that we just do not comprehend. And mental health is a subject that's very difficult. And every time you go to church, I guarantee you, you're sitting next to someone who has a relative, who has a relationship with, or they themselves may be suffering through mental health issues. And it's very difficult, because we're in this position where we're taught to fellowship and love people, and some people don't like being close to people. They don't want to be touched by people. We're embracing people. We love to embrace. But there are times now where we're having to learn something behind walls that have been put up. So I'm going to ask just Sister Hayes, you're going to start us off. Just let's talk about this. Let's talk about your involvement and why you're so interested in this whole mental health issue.
Okay, well, I'm going to start by saying I'm a judge in County Criminal Court number 2, and I've been there for 15 years. It's a misdemeanor criminal court, which is where often the life of crime begins. And it often begins around, for adult purposes. 17 years old is an adult. Let me say that again. 17 years old is an adult. So if you commit a crime and you're 17, you're going to the adult jail. You're going to be charged as an adult. I want to start the baseline of what I'm offering to this conversation deals with adolescent biology, okay? The frontal lobe of the brain is not fully developed, and this is the science, it's been around for quite a while, until the mid to late 20s. The reason why this is important to note is because the frontal lobe of the brain directly affects impulse control, the ability for one to appreciate the difference between right and wrong, the ability for one to recognize the consequences of one's actions. Does that sound familiar when we watch young people and how they behave and the situations that they find themselves in? Before we get to the discussion about mental health in adolescence, we have to acknowledge and just understand that the brain is still cooking. So when you have a young person steal a pack of gum, that impulse control is not functioning all the way because the brain is not always done cooking. And that is not indicative of any type of disability. That is just how the human brain develops. And this issue, this development is more pronounced in males. We had a conversation over some fish and some bomb tartar sauce. I don't know if you've had it here. It's best, I don't even know what that was. It was so good. We talked about, I have a 21-year-old son. And my decision to make certain educational pathways for my son as a black boy, where to put him into school, because it was advised to me that there was this pipeline to prison going on in Dallas, DISD particularly. This is 20 years ago when I'm being warned about this. So I decided to get involved.
Say it again. There's a pipeline to prison. That's a strong statement. Wow.
And Pastor, that starts with the over-disciplining and inability to channel boy energy.
Okay.
Boys.
Okay.
And I raised a boy, so I'm a boy mom. And the inability to recognize that rambunctiousness, that energy, and a lot of times it has to do with external factors. Are they hungry? Are they hangry? I know I deal with that myself.
Are they sleep deprived?
Are they sleeping properly? Are the girls distracting them? I put my son in an all-boys school, Barack Obama Male Leadership Academy, which is an amazing situation, an amazing school. Can I get a witness? It is an amazing school, but the reason being is because what I learned, the science behind how boys learn, it's different than how girls learn. And so it logically follows that when there are girls around sometimes, the boys don't do or focus on what they need to in the midst of the bakery of the brain that's not fully cooked. It's still cooking.
Wow. Something's added to the recipe while the brother's trying to get his bread baked. I get it. Okay, so now you help me jump with this, Dr. Davis. I want to know, what are the most common health issues and challenges that you're seeing in youth today? You are at the front line. First of all, tell us your position. Tell us what you do on a daily basis, and talk to us about what we don't see.
Okay. Well, I am Dr. Keisha Crowder-Davis. I get the pleasure of serving the Dallas Independent School District as the Assistant Superintendent.
White mic, please. Okay, keep going.
As the Assistant Superintendent of Student Engagement and Support, which is our Student Discipline Department, and Mental Health Services. So what we have done in Dallas ISD, we have paired up both our mental health services and our student discipline, because we understand that students are maybe misbehaving on this side because they need some support with mental health on this side. So we have partnered them together, and on a daily basis, we get to ensure that our students receive support. Judge Hayes talked about the pipeline to prison, talked about the overrepresentation of African American boys being suspended, being disciplined. As a result of that, we created reset centers. Reset centers, how many of you all remember the old in-school suspension, ISS? All right, well, we have transformed the ISS into a reset center, which has become a place where students are assigned and they're able to go and think about what they've done. They're able to receive support from a mental health clinician. They're able to have someone to help them reset their behaviors. So on a daily basis, the 4 top things that we are seeing, we're seeing students come to us with depression. We're seeing anxiety. We're seeing trauma. We're seeing hyperactivity. We're seeing stress. So by seeing all of these, Dallas has prioritized mental health services. So every school in Dallas ISD has a mental health clinician. Every school has a mental health clinician. We also have 13 youth and family centers. Our youth and family centers are clinics, are mental health clinics, are health clinics that are around the city. They're the ones that are closest here, our Redbird Youth and Family Center. It's right there on the parking lot of T.W. Brown next to Kimball. And we have one at Wilmer Hutchins High School. So in those clinics, we're able to provide family counseling, we're able to provide individual counseling, we're able to provide psychiatry, we're able to provide medication management, we're able to support our students with things that we could not support them with if they were on a campus. But we understand that the importance is we can't just support our students if they're coming to us with mental health. We have to support the entire family, and we understand that.
You said, and this is interesting. You said you're able to recognize now. This is describe anxiety. What does that look like? Describe for me depression, and really quickly try to describe what does trauma look like? Anxiety. If I'm in a room in a space with someone, is there really a way for me to identify? Show me. I mean, not show me. Break that down to us.
The fidgeting.
Okay.
The nervousness.
Okay.
The lack of, I will say, lack of confidence,
Okay.
so to speak,
Okay.
in a student. Depression would be the isolation, the not wanting to continue to do things that they used to like to do. That has changed. Not being able to sleep, so your sleep patterns have changed. Not wanting to eat. Your habits have changed.
Okay.
You talked about trauma. You're able to, there's lots of trauma. Trauma is when something occurs to you that used to be really safe and it's no longer safe. So our kids come to us with all kinds of trauma. We see trauma when parents are incarcerated. So this young person has to deal with having the separation between the parents, having to deal with divorce. Divorce is one. Societal issues, violence. So we see kids come to us with all of these issues. What was your other question?
And I just wanted to know what it looks like. I wanted to know, because you said you're able to, and I think this is a very good learning point for us as a community, to say, you know, I can identify them instead of making judgments, because everybody now is like, oh, she's judging me, she's judging me. No, actually, if that's a cow, I can probably describe that as being a cow. Now, I can say, no, it's a big cat, but, you know, I have to be able to measure that, and that's important. So let me jump right out of this and to go to I call her Sister Baker, to Tiffany Baker, an attorney who now you're a criminal attorney, and why would you be on a panel like this, or why would you be? What brings you into an area of being so concerned about mental health issues in your field? And it's interesting to know how you got there. Tell us, first of all, because I don't ever want to assume that everybody watching this podcast knows all the definitions. Criminal attorney, what is that?
So I do criminal defense,
Okay.
but I started out as a prosecutor.
Okay.
So a prosecutor is the person who represents the state in the district attorney's office. And the defense attorney is the person who defends defendants, people who have been arrested and accused of doing something.
Okay. And how did you get interested in understanding that there's a world that there's some walls we need to break down and understand mental health issues? And then in a minute, ladies, I'm going to ask us to take away the word mental health issues. Give me some, if you can, give me some street talk, because when we talk to people, we don't walk up to someone and say, she has mental health issues. At the risk of being sensitive to others' ears, a mom may not say that to her son or daughter, but as a community, we've got to learn to speak a language we know and also translate it into a language that we're not allowed to speak in. So I want you to explain to me how you got interested in the whole mental health issue. But then y'all kind of help me to understand what's another way to look at this so we can help. Now, I'm going to give you some time on that. Okay, go ahead.
Well, so many people may not know that there is, in some ways, an overwhelming amount of people that are in the criminal justice system that have some type of mental health diagnosis. And they are one of the largest populations that are in our jails as well. So a few years ago, for whatever reason, I started getting a lot of clients that would have mental health diagnoses. And it got to the point to where within the first 5 minutes or so of talking to somebody, I can tell if there's something going on. Like I'd have someone that had a probation violation, and I'd have a probation officer tell me, oh, they're just, they're just, an a-hole or something. And I would go speak to them, and I would find out that they had some type of mental health diagnosis. And then I'd go back to the probation officer and I'd be like, do you know this person was bipolar? And they would give me this like wide-eyed look. No, I had no idea.
Okay, so wait. So just talking, you could tell that, but the person defending that person or representing that person didn't know that.
No. And I can't do anything about what happened on the front end of a case with someone who's had probation. The unfortunate thing is that, but I can do whatever I can on the back end if they have a probation violation to help get them the services that they need so that they may not have continuous violations. So in Dallas County, we're very fortunate that we have a DA who is very interested in treatment. And he is so treatment oriented that he has a mental health division that is dedicated to services and helping people who have mental health diagnoses or issues within the criminal justice system to hopefully help them not come back. And so when I get someone who, unfortunately, sometimes people just fall through the cracks. I am so passionate about making sure people don't come back into this system that I try to do everything that I can to make sure that a person has what they need, whatever that is, so that hopefully they don't come back. Like I tell my clients all the time, I don't want to see you again, and they laugh, and but I'm serious. Like, I don't want to see you again after this. And I mean that because if I see you again, that means you came back into the system. And my goal is for you not to come back. And so I'm trying to figure out what the issue is, whether it's mental health or housing or whatever the issue is, so that we can get you the services so that you don't come back. My soul, I had an epiphany one day that the reason why I do what I do is because I don't want people being in this system. I think our society would benefit from us being a little bit more rehabilitative than punishment-oriented. Because I just honestly believe that sometimes the system helps create a criminal, and we should be about trying not to create criminals in our system.
I want to come back to that. Give me another. And ladies, look, y'all got to be the sisters I know. Y'all sitting up here like y'all on program. You know we don't act like this. We get to talk and just interrupt each other in a minute. Just jump in here. They're okay. I guarantee you. We don't have to worry about anything. We can edit out anything we want to. But I don't want to edit out the truth. I don't want to edit out your emotions. Give me another name for a mental imbalance. Give me some other way to help. Okay, this is about youth tonight because we've done this before with adults. But if I'm a young person, help me to, instead of saying hygiene, growing up somebody used to use the word, boy, you musty, you know. so, oh, that's what they meant. But when they switched to hygiene, we were like, oh, I'm good, you know. So I want to become more, because the person or the people who might need us the most may not be able to define that. It's when you started going into those descriptions of anxiety, you should have seen me. I'm being still, and I'm like, oh man, I got every one of those. You know, I just found out at 60 years old I'm ADHD and proud of it. Got me a T-shirt. You know, so give me something else to help me not feel more comfortable, but I know you. I'm able to approach you. And that's I should have asked earlier, and maybe there's no word. Either of you, Judge, come on, you sit there
like
with
wellness,
okay?
mental wellness,
Okay.
being centered, you know, which implies a whole lot of things, you
Okay.
know, physical, mental, spiritual, centered.
Okay.
But our parents
Well.
come to us and know, and our students know that they have mental illness, or they say that I'm having a mental episode, I'm having those. So I don't think there's really a word for it.
Did they learn that from the internet? Where did that come from then? Did someone on the internet, is that on YouTube? You know,
Probably. Absolutely. Everything they learn is from YouTube or TikTok or Snapchat or what have you. Unfortunately for us, you know, in my line of work, a lot of folks learn things in prison.
okay.
So it's a difficult walk. I just read a study this morning that said, going back to the brain uncooked, that people who use marijuana in those formative years are far more likely to be diagnosed with bipolar disorder, excuse me. Let me say that again. So there's maybe some young people in here that think it's cool. And I grew up in the Snoop Dogg realness days, Generation X, and I'm from Southern California, and that was the thing or whatever, you know, West Coast. But that was, hey, the whole situation has changed, man. It's like mutated versions of this, unsafe versions of marijuana, and it's illegal, okay? But what we've just found out now is that child, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, smoking weed, is far more likely, I don't know how many times, Judge, you're shaking your head agreeing with me, how many more times likely they are to be bipolar later on in life. If you knew that, would you smoke?
No.
Stand up in here if you're under 18. Where are you at? Okay, here's one. Do y'all hear what I'm saying? Put the phones down and listen to what I'm saying. If you make that choice, I'm telling you there's a high chance of you coming down with a mental health illness called bipolarity disorder. And if you don't know anything about it, I challenge you all tonight to Google it, so you can understand what may happen to your brain and your behavior if you want to smoke marijuana. So don't do it.
Wait, don't that you hit us with a whole lot. You
I'm
gotta
getting real
back
with the
up.
young people.
And no, that was great.
Don't do it.
Say that again, because there are too
Do
many
not
of
do
us
it.
who are saying, well, I don't want to try that. I have to do it because of the medical reasons and whatever. That was strong. Cigarettes gave a warning that this could cause cancer. Marijuana, can you write on marijuana paper? I don't know, I never smoked joint before. But this can cause you to be bipolar. That is very real. And I just want to park here for just a second. Park here for just a second. Because we're afraid sometimes, even as a faith community, to say, this can cause you to flip out later.
And you will wind up with assaults, aggravated assault, deadly weapons. I mean, most of my clients that will have those bipolar, a lot of those charges are assaultive. Why? Because when they're in the middle of having an episode, that means that they're not on meds. And some people manifest it later in life, and we find out when they come in that they had something. Like I had a client who had an evading arrest. He had no idea that he had a mental health issue until this thing happened, this criminal thing happened. Now, I was able to get his case what we call no build. Okay, no build means when a case is before a grand jury is going to decide if your case is going to move forward through the court system, meaning that you're going to have an indictment and then you're going to go through the process. If the grand jury decides that there's not enough there, then they no-bill the case. It's like being dismissed before it even gets started. But we had to do a lot of things, and he had a support system in his parents that sent him to a psychiatrist and a mental health center so that he could get these things. There are a lot of people who don't have that. And so they have to depend on somebody like me caring enough to try and figure out that there's an issue there and get them diagnosed or seen by someone so that we can get a diagnosis to find out if we can get them into this program. So what Judge Hayes is talking about is that later in life, something may manifest, and you wind up in this system because something happened. And you may not have a Tiffany Baker who cares enough to try and figure out if there's something underlying going on as to how you got there. And so I just, I don't want us to stigmatize mental health. There's nothing wrong with saying mental health. Now, all y'all in here know that we come from a history where we don't air our dirty laundry, so to speak. You don't say things in front of mixed company. But when these things are, we live in a different type of society now. Kids can't be kids the way that they used to. They can't do things like go joyriding and then, you just get in trouble and then you go back to daily life. No, they criminalize these kids now, right? I know that the system says that 17-year-olds are adults, but they're not. But yet and still they wind up in the system. And then I got to try and help them and get them out. And I just don't want us as a community, we've got to stop stigmatizing that. There's nothing wrong with talking about these issues and trying to help our kids so that we can try to keep many of them out of this system. You said something there about the stigma associated with mental health. We have to continue to have conversations like this.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Where it's okay for kids to say, I'm not okay. It's okay for everyone to say that I'm not okay. So the more we have those conversations, the more we, let our filters down to be able to seek out help. Mental health should be looked at just like we look at our physical health. So if we go to the doctor and we're not feeling well, we should be able to go to see a psychiatrist. We should be able to
There you go.
when we know we're not
I love that. This is Pastor Ricky Rush, and this is the Decide to Try podcast. We have with us today Judge Hayes. We have the ISD representative, Sister Davis, Dr. Davis, and Tiffany Baker, who is a criminal attorney here in our city. And we right now are in the middle of a wonderful discussion of how to make sure that your personality, health inside of your brain is healthy. As Dr. Davis just said, just to make sure, just like you would understand if you're 10 years old or you're 5 years old and you can't lift a feather, that could be an indication that something is physically going wrong. And what we're trying to do tonight is help you to decide to try to understand that there are some issues that have happened in our minds or in our brain function or in our development that sometimes prevent us from being the full effective a person that God has called us to be. One of the most amazing statements, if you've just joined us, that Judge Hayes, I said the doctor thing, Judge Hayes said before us was, if you jump into a swimming pool, chances are, and there's water in it, you're going to get wet. You may get out before you get too soaked. And I say that because if you are a young person and you're already experimenting with marijuana, I was just going to say that because I'm sort of quoting her, chances are you have increased your opportunity to suffer from being bipolar later on in your life. No one talks about these effects. It's bigger than just being cool. But I want to cross a different line now, ladies. We can have these conversations, and I beg you all to come back. We've got to keep doing this. And I want to extend an open arm for our entire community to have these discussions. However, there's a question here. There's a young person who's struggling silently. He's hurt. He's charming. He's friendly. But he doesn't know that he has a mental issue because he's been with himself his entire life. He's suffering from anxiety, he's depressed, he's traumatized, but because he's silent, no one knows. Can someone here, please? He may be listening, his mother's listening, his father could be listening, his grandmother, his favorite teacher, his uncle or aunt. Can somebody please talk real quick to that kid who may think that nobody hears him because he can't identify himself? Now, I just said a lot, but if somebody would take that from me, and with your expertise and with your God-given talent and your hearts that are in the right place, can you become not the pastor or the preacher for a minute, but can you become the voice in the wilderness that's translating his language in his world of silence?
JuliaHayes10@gmail.com. If you're facing that situation, you can email me. All of those of us that work in this industry, criminal justice system, judges, lawyers, counselors, clinicians, we're mandatory reporters. So if it has to do with something that somebody is hurting you, we have to report. So you have to be careful who you say these things to, young people that are watching this. However, if it's a mental health issue, and you need help, we can definitely direct you to resources that can help you. If you walk into the criminal courthouse, and I'm not saying you have a case, I'm not talking about that. I'm willing to say that every judge in that building will help you to a resource, because that's the flavor of our courthouse. That's the flavor of who's in those seats. I know each one of them personally. So we're here, as Tiffany Baker, attorney Tiffany Baker mentioned, we're here to provide resources, and you can ask any one of us anytime. Don't come up to us talking about a crime or anything like that. But definitely, we are walking resources. You know, I am not going to go into detail, but I have personally taken people that I know of both youth and adults into facilities when they were suicidal in the middle of the night. Nobody knew about it. I just did what I had to do. Taking guns from people. Girl, if you don't give me that gun to stop a suicidal ideation and thought and, you know, potential action that was about to go down, because she called me. So we're here as a resource, and Pastor Rush has my number, and he has all of our numbers. But we're here to direct you. That's what we do, and we do this because we want to, and we love our jobs. It's not a drag. Yeah, some folks are like, man, I hate my job. Well, we've been blessed to be put in positions, thanks to all of you. Okay, I voted today. Who voted? See, my position is based on votes. So I'm just keeping it real, Pastor.
Yes.
But I say that to say I made a choice to do this, right? So understanding, you know, the adolescent population. When I say adolescent, I'm talking about 17 to 25 is an adult, young adult population that is out here wreaking havoc because they come to my court. And some of it is that basic misunderstanding of the development of the brain, but also some of it is mental health. Some of it is a combination of the brain development, the mental health, and the substance abuse that's going on. Substance abuse often brings on mental illness. I talked about the cannabis, but there are other things, crystal meth. Anything that you take as a young person while the brain is cooking is gonna mess up the flavor of that cake. The cake is gonna be jacked.
Yeah.
If you sprinkle in some antifreeze or whatever.
Yeah.
Because that's the kind of effect on the brain. We talking antifreeze type effect. Like when you put salt on a snail. Has anybody done that? Generation X, we did that. And it wasn't cool, okay? It was probably mean. But the dissolving of the snail, that's going on in the brain when foreign substances are messing with it. And guess what happens? That dissolving of different parts, decomposition of the brain affects how it operates, how you talk, how you walk, how you eat, how you experience and process emotion.
Wait, you're pulling a whole lot on us.
I'm sorry.
Okay, ooh, Lord, I'm gonna have to stretch a little bit. Did you hear what she said? Yeah, I'm glad you didn't drop that mic. That's pretty expensive. No. Okay, I'm gonna sit back down. That's the preacher part in me. That's that. Did you hear what step by step, something is happening, and we may not identify it. Sure, it starts out as what you may call a high, but it's guaranteeing you a low.
Well, I want to speak
Jump
to that
on,
young
come
man as
on.
well. I want to speak to the young man, and I want to tell you we see you.
Yes.
We want to support
Yes.
you. So if there are any students that are watching us, that are here with us today, go to your counselor's office and ask to see your mental health clinician. Talk to someone at your campus. Go to the reset coordinator that's at your school. We're here to support. I am not a clinician, but we can make sure that you are connected to a clinician to feel comfortable to talk about how you're feeling. Like I said, it's okay to not be okay.
Wow. Is there any guilt associated with this? Does a child, because I think the first point of contact is the classroom. I just think teachers are the key. And if I'm not wrong, I can't be. Jesus was a teacher. It's the first contact. But I think teachers in school, I think that's because a parent can be around a child so much that he or she seems to be okay because we keep making allowances for it. But what's the guilt associated with me saying, I think I'm having issues because nobody, and I'm gonna go ahead and cross this line, nobody wants to say, I think I'm crazy. Because it's been stereotyped like that from kids.
Well, like in our community, we say, you all right. There's nothing wrong with you.
Okay.
So I'm sitting up here with these two beautiful black women.
Yes.
And all three of us probably look like we have it all together, right? So I will be the first to say that I don't always have it all together. And I personally think that everybody would benefit from having a therapist. So you don't have to have mental health diagnoses or illnesses to need to talk to somebody. So that young child who may be young adult, who may be looking at us like we're all successful in our own rights, we don't always have it together. We go through things just like everybody else. And let me tell you, I got a therapist during the pandemic. That was the best decision that I made. And I know she probably was like, ooh, here she go again, because I call her about work now. Every time something goes on, I'm like, I need to go talk to my therapist. Let me make me an appointment. I canceled it, but you know what? I need to talk to you because something was going on, and I need to talk it through. Because sometimes you just need to talk it through with somebody who's not close to you. And that's okay. It is okay to talk to other people about the things that you are going through, because every time I talk to her, I always feel better about what it was that I was going through, even if I didn't like the outcome of what was happening, because I need to process what was happening. I need to process my feelings about what was happening. And sometimes when you can just talk to someone else, whether that be a counselor or a therapist or whatever, they can help you process a situation and see it from a different perspective that you may not have seen before, right? And all that is helpful. So it's okay to talk to a counselor. It's okay to talk to a therapist. That doesn't mean that you're labeled as someone who has a mental health diagnosis.
So what I just heard was, I need Jesus and a therapist. I need Jesus and a therapist. Hey, let's go here, because educators, teachers, because I'm real big on this. Teachers are the first, I think school's the first point of contact. But teachers may feel, Dr. Davis, I'm coming on your side of the street now for a minute. They may feel as if they don't have the support that they need to actually do the jobs that they've been given to do. And I think that they can feel sometimes least supported when addressing students that may have mental health issues. So a non-trained and untrained teacher who is not trained in handling this may not get the support. Go on back in there, he'll be all right, and that young person is tearing up the environment. Please talk to that young teacher that's out there, because we need them. We need them. We need them bad, and I don't care what anyone says. We need our teachers. And sometimes we're losing our teachers because parents don't identify what teachers identify, and sometimes people in different positions don't think that teachers can become traumatized. What do we say? What do you say, looking right in that camera right there, to that teacher who's about to quit because he or she feels that they're not supported?
Well, teacher, we don't want you to quit. We want you to stay with us because we're here to support you. You have a mental health clinician on your campus every day. Go to that mental health clinician and tell her that you need some support with Keisha, that Keisha is in the classroom tearing the room up. She's going to know who Keisha is. But not only do you have that mental health clinician that's there, we have a behavior specialist that's assigned to your campus that can come in and support you. We have your principals, where we are always providing them with all types of support so that we can support you. If you individually need some help, reach out to me. I'm here. I'll make sure that there is someone who can come and support you. We want to be able to help you, help your students. We want to support you. And if you are dealing with mental health yourself, you are not being able to cope. You're like, I'm about to let it all go.
Yes, yes.
We have our EAP program through our human resources. You can reach it through your portal. Go in the portal, and then you can too have a therapist, someone that can talk to you, someone who can support you through what we're going through right now.
Beautiful. Now listen, I'm going to repeat that again. I know y'all heard it, but she said that every campus has a mental health clinician.
Every campus.
Really?
Every campus in Dallas ISD.
And
has a mental
and
health
so I'm in school tomorrow. Do I know who that person is?
You should know who your mental health clinician is. She should possibly be with your counselor in your counselor's office. If you don't know, go to the counselor's office, go to the principal's office and say, I want to know who my mental health clinician is.
Okay, and if you don't remember the words mental health clinician, say, where is that lady's office that can help me?
Or man,
Oh,
or
that
man.
man. Where's that man or lady that can help me? You know, because mental health clinician, that's a lot of words. I probably don't, I wouldn't.
Our
And I'm just real
clinician,
big on breaking
yeah.
it down, but that's.
Our clinician.
Thank you. And then secondly, every campus has a behavior specialist?
Not every campus.
Okay.
We have assigned, the behavioral specialists are assigned to campuses.
Okay,
so
they
it's
can go
by
around.
region. So,
Okay, okay. And then there's an EAP.
EAP, it's our Employee Assistance Program. So if you are facing any kind of issues as an employee of Dallas ISD, you
Wow.
have EAP.
Wow. Yes, go please.
I don't know if I can say this.
You can say it at this church and on this mic, and we can edit it. No. We support you, I promise we do. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, there is a lot to unpack
Okay.
with this.
Okay.
And a lot of it goes back to voting, because what has happened in the state of Texas, which has been to the bane of my existence, is that the state keeps decreasing the amount of money that is allocated for mental health services in this state. Y'all, we used to have a program called Transicare. Oh my God, I loved Transicare. They were wonderful. If I had a client who had mental health issues and I could get them into Transicare, they would get a case manager. And so a lot of times, part of the issue with people who have mental health issues is that they have issues getting to court. Well, if you can't get to court, what is the court going to do? They're going to issue a warrant out for their arrest, right? And that puts the person back in jail.
Yep.
So with Transicare, I didn't have to worry about my client getting there because the case manager would make sure that my client got there. The case manager would help them go get their ID. The case manager would help them get their medications. And I would see clients come in, and after we worked with them for 6 to 9 months, they would do a 180, and it was fantastic to see them, and we could get them out, right? And I remember I had a client one time, and I was so excited. I was like, oh, they're going to be perfect for Transicare. And because I had built this relationship, I just called, I called the person who was over it, and she was like, Tiffany, I'm so sorry. We can't take any more clients. And I was like, what do you mean? She said, our funding's been cut. My heart dropped because there are so many people who have these issues that when we just, and I've seen it countless times, when you get them the resources, you can see, you can visually see the change with just getting them what they need. And it's someone who is there walking with them along the way who can hold their hand to make sure, because sometimes that's all it is making sure that the person goes through all the steps. But because they have these issues, they need a little bit more hand-holding than other people do. But when the state cuts your funding, I mean, what you gonna do?
So Judge Hayes and Tiff, Sister Baker, Attorney Baker, what's the alternative to being arrested or giving a citation? There's a person who, and I have a twofold question. can I, okay, I'm like you, we're gonna have to edit this part. You know, can I turn my son in and say, look, he is getting in trouble, and I don't think it's trouble. I think what is that parent to do? Now, that's the second part of this. But what is the alternative? We know about arrest. We know about citations. But is there anything else that can be done to effectively handle the mental health issues once they've gone here? And I just love what Trina said earlier. You know, they have it figured out, and I want you to talk to me about. They know the answers. Okay, what's today? What's your birthday? What year is this? So the person now knows all of the answers that the police officers are going to ask to be able to say, okay, there's nothing wrong with him. Can you tell us what the alternative is? And I know that's a crazy question I ask. Can I turn my son in? Can I turn my daughter in? And I don't know what that really means. But my child is like 38, and I'm still having ideas. I want to turn it to somebody. This is like on the cool, maybe private. But no, there's a parent out there. They're done. They're done. And somebody's saying he's not a fit mother because she works all the time. He's not a fit father because he's working all the time. And they have quit. And that's when it comes to us. And can you please I went all over the place, but I was really in one direction. What's the alternative? What's the other solution?
The other solution besides once they end up in the criminal justice system,
Yeah,
or are you just, because I'm going to punt this over to Attorney Baker.
Okay.
Because this might tread a little bit on legal advice.
Okay.
And I can't give that as a sitting judge.
Got it. Thank you.
She's not on the bench just yet, so
Thank
maybe she can, I'm going to punt that over there.
Okay.
Okay?
Katrina?
There's a mic right there.
So to answer your question, you said, what can you do if you want to turn your daughter or your son? So to do that, you'll have to go down to the JP's court and get your warrant. And once you get that warrant,
Okay.
you'll give it to the constable, Eddie Brown or whoever the constable is, and then that constable will serve their warrant, and they will come and pick up your child or your daughter, your brother, your sister, whoever that you're going to court.
Okay.
And then we'll just take it from there.
Yeah, it's a mental health warrant.
Wow. Now I hope I didn't give anybody any ideas. I'm just, I'm good. Come here, baby. Come in the room. Let's go eat some ice cream. Click, click in the refrigerator. Man, dude is okay. I know. I think I want to turn my dad in. Wait. This is such a blessing. You said some things. What? Give me speak to me.
Oh, it's Katrina was talking about a mental health warrant. So if you are wanting to not necessarily call the cops, I know some people are afraid to do that, right? And rightfully so because of things that have been happening. So the alternative is what we call a mental health warrant.
Everybody, are we making progress? We're bringing it up. We're bringing it up and we're bringing it out and we're talking about it. And I love this conversation. Again, I thank you for real. I really, from my heart, thank you. But are we making progress with this conversation, with these moves? Or are we just, okay, we know about it and we're waiting on God to move over the Red Sea or something? Is there something being done that's helping us to say, okay, they're hearing us. They're hearing this child. I do a lot of funerals of teenagers. And that silent student, nobody heard it. But is there any kind of measurement, any tool that says, well, we have less cases this year, that's kind of what I mean, than last year, or what's increasing now because of the awareness of it, or is the excuse being made for people who aren't having any mental illnesses at all, but love to play the game for the attention.
Well,
That
I
was
do,
strong.
just to attempt to answer some part of what you just said, Pastor, is that once folks do, so like in the criminal justice context, once folks do get into some sort of treatment, first of all, acknowledgement, diagnosis of the condition, the recidivism rate, okay, that's the tendency to reoffend, goes down significantly. So where the typical recidivism rate in regular defendants that aren't mentally dealing with mental health conditions, it may be, 60, 70%. People who receive complete mental health treatment is down to like in the 20s. Their tendency to reoffend is down into the 20% versus 70% of the, quote, regular folks that aren't mentally dealing with mental illness. They're reoffending, more, which you would expect the opposite, right? So as far as success, we're doing something good. Mental health treatment does and has reduced the tendency for folks to reoffend.
Okay.
That's because they get the services, right?
Right.
So, us being in Dallas County and honestly, having the district attorney that we have has made a huge difference. You literally have to have someone that cares enough to have these programs in place to begin with. Like, he doesn't have a name on a treatment center for nothing, right? It's because we have a lot of the things that we have because he kind of pioneered this refocusing from punishment into treatment and addressing whatever it is so that we can plug people in to whatever treatment program it is that they need. He started out with a small mental health division that had about 4 attorneys in it, and now they've increased to, I think, about 20 or so attorneys that they have in there now.
Okay.
And they've fought, again, for the funding to do that, and they have to do that every year. But we're just really fortunate in Dallas that we have someone who is really focused on getting the people out of the system who shouldn't be there
Okay.
to begin with, so that we can focus on, like the real stuff.
Okay.
And we have ADAPT. ADAPT is a program that is actually in the courthouse, and it's an extension of MetroCare. MetroCare is mental health services that we have in Dallas County. And they now have this group that is in there and goes into the jail and talks to these people, make sure that they get their, medications while they're in the jail. Sometimes I'll have clients where I'm reading a PC affidavit, police report, and I'm reading it, and then they come to court, and I'm talking to them, and my question is, are you getting your meds? Why am I asking that? Because when I'm talking to them, this is not the same person that was in a police report.
Okay.
Why is that? Because we were starting to get them their services. When you get them the services, that behavior that you're reading in the police report is not a thing anymore. And sometimes I'll, because I have to go through discovery, right? So sometimes I'll be watching body camera, and it's even in a way that some police officers interact with these people, right? Like I had a client last week, and they charged her with failed to ID, and I'm watching the body camera, and they're asking her what her name is, and I'm listening, and I'm like, I can hear clear as day what she's saying, but they keep saying it to her, and she's getting frustrated. So she's said her name 5 times, but she's like, da 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 da, but I could understand what she was saying. And they just were like, okay, if you keep being this way with us, I'm just gonna add another charge. So I just, when you get somebody the services, when you help them get what it is that they need, they're not gonna be here. All of this is just services oriented. I just really, really believe when people get the services that they need, they don't go into the system. But when they get there, you have to have people like a Judge Hayes, like a Tiffany, like some of the others, like a John Crusoe, who care enough about getting people services so that we can get them out of the system. And we don't build, like my colleagues and I like to say, a criminal resume. A criminal resume, that's what we call it. It's a criminal resume. And I can look and see most people who have mental health issues will have things like multiple criminal trespasses, multiple failed IDs, things of that nature. I mean, I've been doing this long enough now that I can just, like, I don't know, it's like a gift now.
You don't look like you've been out of high school for 2 years, but that is amazing.
I'll take it.
Let me say this, let me get to it, because we're kind of wrapping up just a little bit, and that's what preachers say when we have like an hour left. But do you feel like, I keep saying Sister Davis,
I will take
do you, okay, but Dr. Davis, do you feel like you're making a difference? And I promise that is as personal as it may sound, because sometimes we just don't know. But do you feel like, and I'm going to ask every one of you that, but do you feel like you're making a difference?
I do. I feel like we are making a difference. I am making a difference. As I said, we were able to put mental health services together with student discipline so that we can really, really help the whole child. We're able to ensure that if a student has a student code of conduct violation and they have to go to the reset center, they're able to get some mental health support if they need it. We have 2 mental health clinicians at our alternative school. So I believe we're making a difference because we want to make sure that all of these steps that we have put into place keep them from having to go see these 2 young ladies here.
So we want them to stay away.
We want them to stay away.
Someone is watching this and they're admiring you. Do you feel like you're making a difference? I don't, and this is a speech I really want from the heart. There's a young girl, there's a young guy that's watching you as a criminal attorney. Do you feel like you're making a difference?
So I'm not gonna lie, this job that I do can be really taxing and depressing sometimes. Okay. But I get emails and text messages from clients and family members of clients that let me know that what I do makes a difference. Wow. I'm known to kind of do other things that other lawyers may not do, and that's okay. And what I mean by that is, like, I had a client who was a veteran, and he had some mental health issues, and we had him in Veterans Court. And I didn't do anything super big, but, like, I took him home. Like, I drove him home in my own car because he didn't have a way to get there. His daughter was at work, and she couldn't get off to come. And he was just gonna sit there for hours until, it's just little things. I didn't do it for anything. I just, that's just what I do. I gave a client bus money. I have Ubered clients to court because being in the criminal justice system is stressful in and of itself. And so sometimes when you do a little thing like that, it seems really little, but it's big to someone else because they're so stressed about what's going on that if you can just take some of the stressors off, Okay. So I do what I can, even though I'm one person, because my goal is to change somebody's life and keep them from coming back.
I want to say this. I don't know anything about your spiritual beliefs, or haven't talked about that, but you sure sound like you have a believer's heart, and I just want to leave that right there. I just want. Do you feel like you're making a difference?
That is an extremely loaded question, Pastor. But I will say, when one of my 17-year-olds, I have a program that emphasizes education over incarceration. And so it requires advancement in education for 17 to 25-year-old offender who comes to my court. If they're successful, and I'm just really shortening it, the case gets dismissed, the record gets expunged. Am I making a difference when one of my 17-year-olds, students, I call them students, is now getting his MBA? I think I did make a difference.
I love it.
I'm trying to keep it short.
And I love
If you could
that.
just
I
help
love
one.
that.
If we
I
can
could
just help one
that right
student.
there was worth the $100,000 law school loans, which were forgiven, thank you, President Biden. But anyway,
Wow. Wow.
yeah.
I last one for each of you before I say this. How can, and I don't want to speak for anybody else's church, but this is a church and we don't deny it. We are very proud of being who we are in the Lord. But how can IBOC personally, I don't want to hear, and it sounded sassy when I said that, but I don't want to speak for all churches. I don't want to speak for, because some people may have had bad experiences, but how can we help in this mental health issue, fight, or and even if this has to be personal with your areas, I don't care. I'm going on record saying I don't care. I may not agree with everyone who's in offices or what they do, but I want to know, how can we personally, and if you need a minute to think about it, go ahead. How can we help in our school district? How can we, you are a DISD product. I'm a DISD product. Everybody in this room is probably a DISD product. We have one of the best schools, I think, in the nation that is unnamed. It's the University of Dreams, right here at IBOC. It is also a private school on the basis of trying to help young people reach what they're looking for. But how can we help as a church? You ever thought about it? That's like a free pass.
No, continue to have conversations like this. Continue to partner or begin to partner with your schools. You have a school here.
Absolutely.
Bring in individuals to come and have conversations about mental health.
Bring them into where?
Bring them into your church. Bring them into IBOC to talk about.
From the neighborhood?
From the neighborhood
Okay.
schools, from the district schools.
If
from,
you make fish, they'll come.
Absolutely. We'll be right here.
You are hooked.
And fries.
Get it? Hooked.
Don't forget the fries.
We got fish and fries over here. You're going to be coleslaw. Yeah, well, I'm the cookie guy, right?
Yes.
This is how you get these guys to loosen up, feed them. So you're saying invite this conversation. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
Can I count on you to help me, because I'm going to speak for the whole church for a minute, start the campaign to say, we're going to have a discussion Saturday morning with breakfast, or we're going to have a discussion Friday night between 7 and 8, and whatever that is. Can we, without promoting the Come to Jesus meeting, but we don't have to pay for this venue, can you help us, direct us in the ways of doing that?
Absolutely. I will
Okay,
help
that's
direct.
all I
And
wanna
you may
know.
even have individuals in your congregation who are
Definitely.
mental health clinicians
Wow, and won't even know it.
that you don't even know
Wow.
that they're here.
How can we personally help?
So, have y'all ever heard the saying that, no one's going to come to save us? We got to save ourselves, right?
They are our
okay.
Superman.
And, there have been churches across this nation who have stepped up in tremendous ways to help with the things that are going on, right? My understanding is that the church's one of the functions is to help the communities, right? I don't know what programming or things that you have, but just in my mind, I have probably for the past 3 or 4 years been talking or thinking about something involving transportation.
Okay.
Honestly, transportation is a huge, huge, huge issue for many people who are in or find themselves in the criminal justice system. and, getting back and forth to.
Could it be like
court.
vouchers for buses or something? Because I don't know if somebody's gonna pick up someone, take them home like you. I don't know anybody would do that, but me probably. But is that the kind of idea? Because this is not just conversation. We are documenting this.
Right.
So if transportation, the word that you're saying, provide ways, funds, just right to it, money to help maybe with someone's Uber ride to court.
Yeah, because
or-
they have, so again, it's like a resources thing, right?
Okay.
And like I said before, the decreasing of the funds is a real thing that's happening in the legislature. But, in the mental health division, and I think pretrial services sometimes, they have, but they have a limited number of bus vouchers. Like, it's not unlimited. And so even though they can help some, they can't help all. And so I think if you want to start small,
Okay.
right? I don't know how to do this, but I really wanted to start some type of nonprofit or something that really just kind of focused on transportation for people who need to get back and forth to
If
court.
we gave you the lead on that with our support, and we're saying that here, would you be willing to escort us into that? Because I work around people who have a lot of ideas, but some people just don't have the muscle behind. They can think of a party, let's do something Tuesday, but they won't show up. And I'm saying that, I'm not putting you on the spot, but there has to be a lead into, someone has to say, I thought of it and I can help you execute it. I'm not going to pay for it, but I can help you execute it. I guess that's what I'm saying. If that's your suggestion for IBOC, you have that vision. I never thought of something like that.
Well, remember when I was talking about transit care and how they've kind of decreased what they were doing? Now what they do, very limited situations, is they only do transportation. But again, because of the lack of funding, they can't do a whole lot of that. If I could get a hold of the person with transit care, would you be
100%.
okay?
We ain't afraid of nothing around here.
Then let's do it.
Now, and this is the last part of that question, because I want to talk to Judge Hayes here. And we're going to ask, what can IBOC do? I'm still there. For some reason, I don't understand a person who may be suffering from mental illness or that attack, how they're held responsible for being in court. But that may be an off-camera discussion. See, it seems like that's a great excuse to miss. I'm sorry, that just doesn't, huh?
Yeah.
I am
I'm picking
going
up what you're
in.
putting down. I got it. Yeah.
Huh?
I understand what. Yes.
Okay, because people say things and I'm like, wait, you're asking this man, a woman to blah, 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 and they're here because of blah, 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 blah. It doesn't match to me, but what can we do? Come on, besides fish, girl, don't give me another
hard
fish.
To answer.
No,
Well, one of the
they hear you.
one of the biggest problems that I see is homelessness. So, to the degree that issue can be addressed, and I don't know the answer, but when I have somebody who's constantly arrested, and I see this person right now in this chapter of my life,
Wow.
in this chapter of 2026, I've seen the same person every week, probably for the last 9 weeks, with a new arrest. At least nine criminal trespass arrests. And even the request, oh, can you just keep me in? I don't have anywhere to go. Absolutely not.
Wow. Can you just keep me in jail?
Can you just give me more time? Because I don't have anywhere to go. At least I get food over here in the jail. And for us in the criminal justice system, we take the Constitution extraordinarily seriously. And I'm not going to give you more time because you don't have somewhere to go or because it's an ice storm.
Wow.
That's been requested of me. That really I feel bad, I don't even like giving time, okay?
But I had
a
a client that was homeless, And during that ice storm that we had last year in January, I told him, I was like, hey, because he was asking, when am I going to get out? And I was like, I don't know that you really want to get out until like Tuesday of next week because we have the storm coming, right? And I didn't know when, I knew I got him continued on probation, but I knew that this was coming. And we couldn't find him for a couple weeks. And the state was ready to issue out a warrant for his arrest because he hadn't shown back up. And I get this mysterious phone call from Baylor. I was like, who's calling me from Baylor? And so, look, normally I don't answer numbers that I don't know. But so I picked up the phone, and this man had the pass slip still in his pocket, and they pulled it out and it had my number on it. His feet had to be amputated because he got caught out in that storm. So, like, homelessness is a problem. And again, we used to have some great programs that helped with that. Like Transit Care also had housing. I say start small because it takes, steps to get there. I understand that. And so I feel like if we can start with like transportation because they're already there. I don't know how to help them, but I know that this group was amazing. Y'all, they were amazing. They were amazing. They helped with a lot of things. And they had, housing and all of these things. And I'm just one person, and I don't know how to get them back up to where they were. But if we could, program with different churches, different organizations to try and get this, entity back up, because transportation and homelessness is one of the main things that permeates in the system, and people come in with that. Sometimes they commit crimes so that they can get into the jail because they don't have nowhere to go.
Are y'all aware of the new facility that we're building across from UT Southwestern? Is it Parkland, the new facility for mental illnesses? It's going up, and it's huge, and it's already built. Yesterday, I didn't realize how much homelessness is across the street right there from Parkland now. And that is an issue. Listen, we are going to make a public commitment. Thank you, Katrina. Thank you, Sister Yo. Thank you all for allowing us to have, I'm going to call this part one. This is a ladder. You understand? You see this? I want us to zoom in on it. This is the symbol that I live by every day of my life, and it's everywhere that I go, and it's everything that I ask God to help me to understand. Sometimes people say, where would you rather be, here or here? And 90% of the time, people want to be on top. Yeah. Yeah. We have learned when you're in help situations like you all, the only way to go, the next place to go from here is down. I mean, I don't care who you are. So I always like to think of this being Pastor Rush, because most people will say, oh yeah, Pastor Rush, you're a big dog and you're running. That's not me. This is me. I want to be able to hold your ladder. I want to be able to hold your ladder and your ladder. I don't have to know you. What do I know about you? You like fish and fries and cookies. Come on, what else do you need to know about somebody? But I just thank you all for holding the ladder of these other and the tea. And she got when you drink the tea on the interview, you're serious about the tea. She has the tea, right? So we want to make sure that here at IBOC, we're holding your ladders. And we're not just having a conversation or some talk. Thank you, Katrina, for making sure this happens. We got to do part 2, 3, 4, and 5. I just made a public proclamation and guarantee of what you do, of what we said. And I don't even have to understand it. I just trust God for the next opportunity. Because when I hear a believer's heart, I believe that God will speak through us to help things come to fruition. And no one has to, people say they believe in you. They don't have to. They just probably will until they're tried. but we want to hold your ladder. And for anybody who's listening, who's going through, suffering from, encountering someone with a mental, what do we call it? I don't want to keep saying mental illness, but is that okay? Is that okay to say? I don't want to. Okay. I want you to know that tonight, if you're the parent of someone, a grandparent or loved one, these young ladies that are here with us tonight are holding the ladder, because families don't always have the answers, but we want to hold the ladder so that you can continue to climb, so that you don't quit, so that you don't think that if I just get high, I can escape. Because what we've learned tonight is for every high, there's a very difficult low that could change the course of your life. And we want you to know that we're going to pray with you tonight. We're going to pray with these that have believing hearts. They believe in what they do. And thank you for shining some light about our school district. Thank you, okay? Thank you for shining some light about our criminal justice system. Thank you for shining some light on how we see judges. We always thought that the cutest judge in America was Judge Judy. Now, we know Judge Hayes. I mean, we know we are there for it. And I just appreciate you. On behalf of myself and Sister Rush, who's here tonight, we open our arms to you. We open our homes and hearts to you guys. If you need a place to bring the conversation in front of everyone here, I'm committing us. We've got to get them inside, y'all, okay? And that might stop another person from being homeless, right? So at the end of this prayer, we're going to close this particular broadcast with a statement. But right now, I want to pray, because we sometimes pray after things happen, Lord, get us out. But I want to pray, God, give us the strength to prevent it. Father, in Jesus' name tonight, we have heard a lot. You've blessed us to be able to listen to warm hearts and an uncomfortable conversation. But we just believe that the ladies and the supporters of the ladies that are here in this room have spoken for a voice that has been silent, for a young boy, a young girl, a parent, an adult who's been silent, living in a world that has not been defined and understood. And God, they didn't know a few years ago they did something that could affect their lives now. Didn't know it. But thank you for giving us not only knowledge today, but wisdom to hear a difference and to help someone today to stop and say, wait, I've got to make some different choices now, because I did not know that as cool as it seemed, it could make my life extremely difficult later. So thank you, Master, for hearing us. Thank you for giving us an assignment now. And open the door for us, Lord, so we can walk right through it. Thank you for funding it.
Thank you.
And thank you for funding it, God. Thank you for funding it so that we can prevent it from maybe just one. In Jesus' name, every believer, we say amen. To those of you that are listening tonight, please don't let your feelings cancel your future. This has been the Decide to Try podcast. God bless you.
Thank you for joining us to receive God's Word. At IBOC, we stand on the Word of God because this is the year of more than enough. Our prayer is that something was said or something was done in this service that will encourage you in your relationship with God.
If you're ever in the Dallas area, nothing can compare to being a part of a live IBOC service. Our inspiring, dynamic Sunday morning service begins at 10 a.m. And if you're looking for even more practical teaching from the Word of God, join us every Monday at 7 p.m. for Monday School, where it's all about simplicity. If you can't experience the joy in person, You can view all of our services on our Facebook pages, our YouTube channel, or our church website at ibocchurch.org.
Make sure that you like and subscribe on all of our social media platforms. You'll find pictures, videos, information about our church, our pastor, our world-famous aquariums, our amazing Christian private school, the University of Dreams at IBOC, and so much more. As a matter of fact, you can access all of these platforms on one easy link tree by texting the words Pastor Rush to the number 31996.
Finally, family, we want to thank you for supporting this ministry with your prayers and your financial gifts. When you give to IBOC, you're giving to a church full of integrity that stands on the Word of God. You can give whenever or wherever you want on the Givelify app, the Cash App, or text to give. Don't forget to name your seed and believe God for your harvest.
Well, that's all we have for today, family. We want to thank you for learning with us and thank you for growing with us. We're on a mission to win more souls to Christ. So let God use you today to inspire someone else. Enjoy God's blessings, family, and all the glory goes to God.